Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard to Compliance Global Inc. live webinar session on 21 CFR Part 820-820, Applying Principles for Lean Document and Lean Configuration. My name is Esther, and I will be your host for today's session. On behalf of the entire Compliance Global Inc. team, I would like to thank you for being part of today's webinar. Today's webinar will be presented by Jose Mora. A few words about Jose before we start off today's session. Jose is a principal consultant specializing in manufacturing engineering and quality system. For over 30 years of experience, he has worked in medical device and life science industries, specializing in manufacturing, process development, tooling, and quality system. Prior to working full-time as a consultant partner for Adzari Consulting, Jose served as a director for manufacturing engineering, Boston Scientific, and as a quality system manager for Stryker Orthopedics, where he introduced process performance, problem solving, and quality system methodologies. During that time, he's prepared a white paper on the application of lean manufacturing, methods of creation and management of controlled document, and a template of strategic deployment. Jose worked for 10 years at Cordis Corporation, now a Johnson & Johnson company, where he led the successful tooling, process development, and qualification of Cordis. During his time at Cordis, Jose managed the maintenance and facility department, taking that operation to a level rated at top by the UK Department of Health and Science Services, that is DHSS, during one of their intense audits that took place at the time he was serving the company. We are privileged to have such a distinguished person like Jose to present our webinar today. Let me give you a quick outline on today's proceedings. Today's webinar is going to be for 90-minute duration. Jose will first take us through webinar highlighting the areas that would be covered in today's session and then the main presentation. Once we begin the teleconference, I would like to inform all attendees that once the teleconference begins, the phone lines will be placed on mute and will remain so until we begin the Q&A session. This is basically to avoid any kind of discontinuity and to make sure all participants attending the program benefit from the same. If for any reason you get logged out during the session, please follow the same procedure to join in again. Now that we're all ready for the session, I would request Jose to take it forward from here. Over to you, Jose.
Thank you, Esther, and thank you, participants, for joining us today. We're going to discuss a very important regulation for medical devices, which is the Quality System Regulation, also known as 21 CFR Part 820. But we're going to do it in a different manner. We're going to do it applying the principles of lean documents and lean configuration. Many companies have spent countless amounts of time and money in implementing lean, but without a lean quality system and a lean document control system, they're really not realizing the benefits of lean. So we're going to take a walk through the quality system regulation and show how we can apply these principles. First, we're going to go through some thought-provoking images, and these are images from everyday life that we should all be able to relate to and also draw some common sense lessons from them. So this way, when we take a tour of a medical device facility, I'm going to ask that those lessons of common sense, that you do not leave those in the coat closet, that you bring them in with you, because common sense doesn't stop at the vestibule. It should follow us into the plant, especially when we're applying a quality management system. We're going to explore how we have arrived at what I call the genesis of chaos and where this came from. Having been in many companies, large and small, I can safely say that chaos is an adequate word to describe the state of flux of the documentation and the quality management system. We're going to show an illustration that I call the web of cross-references, because that tangled web is something that we need to solve if we are to be able to apply lean principles. Then we will visit key principles of lean documents and present an alternative to that tangled web of cross-references. Having laid the foundation for lean documents and lean configuration, we will then walk through the key parts of the quality system regulation, in other words, 21 CFR Part 820, in a fair amount of detail, and then we will show some lean examples of documents and configuration, and finally arrive at a conclusion. So the images that we are going to talk about are experiences that we should all have experienced, and these should be readily evident to us. The first one is we walk into a restaurant, and the person, the host that is going to seat us, they hand us a menu and they take us to our table. Now, you may not think of that menu as a controlled document, but if you really stop and think about it, the owner has a vested interest in making sure that that document is accurate. It cannot be showing last year's prices. It certainly cannot have dishes listed on it that the kitchen is not prepared to make, and it should not have inaccurate information. So it is very important that that document is correct. Now, I like to think of that as a single function document with two elements. The single function is to allow you, the diner, the guest at the restaurant, to choose your meal. That is the function. That's its only function. It gives you the information you need to select your meal. Now, when I say two elements, one element is the description of each dish. The other element is the price associated with that dish. So single function, two elements. Now, I think we would all readily agree that one thing that does not belong on the menu would be a list of ingredients and instructions on how to cook the meal. I don't know about you, but I'd start getting worried if I saw that information on the menu. I would start to wonder if maybe I walked into the wrong place. Now, the recipe is certainly a controlled document, but that belongs in the kitchen. That's for the cook to know and to be familiar with and certainly to follow, because that assures that they will prepare a consistent meal. The same dish will be prepared consistently. But those are two documents with different functions for different audiences, right? So they don't belong mixed together. Let's take another example. Sometimes we don't always recognize things as controlled documents. In the case of a stop sign, we have a distinct shape, an octagon, and then a distinct color, red, and usually a stop sign says stop. So a traffic sign is there to convey instantaneous information. Now, most of us, when we see this example, a stop sign with detailed instructions, what would come to mind is the effect that that document has at that intersection. If you live anywhere like where I live, if you stop to read instructions, the car behind you will immediately be honking their horn. Now, imagine what would happen. Each driver pulls up, looks and reads, and then the next driver has to do the same, and pretty soon you have a traffic jam. But believe it or not, the problem is we only think of what that document is doing, but that document is a product of a process. That document didn't just get there. That stop sign wouldn't have just gotten there. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's only the beginning of our problems. If you happen to be the city's Department of Traffic and Transportation, try to imagine if all of a sudden at every single intersection in the municipality, you have to be concerned about which stop sign has which set of instructions. And now, back in my college days, and we won't talk about how long ago that was, I worked as a draftsman for the Metro Miami-Dade County Department of Traffic and Transportation. Now, it was pretty bureaucratic back then. That was bad enough, but you add this in stop signs with instructions, you might as well have shut the place down. They couldn't have functioned. So the lesson here is that the process that has to maintain and distribute documents is exponentially more complicated than the document itself. And yet we, as the readers of the document, we only think of what is in the document, not about the process that has to deliver and maintain it. And therein lies the visit to lean. Other types of controlled documents, if you're the owner of a car,